what I'm talking about today in our webinar is this new feature around repair tracking that we've added. And what this feature does is it basically brings a handful of things together that there were things that you could already do, but one really unique piece, which is consuming an inventory item onto another as a part, basically, is this idea of if you want to track your parts inventory in Wholesale, you can now do that just the same way that you track other inventory, but you can consume one inventory item and use it as a part in a repair that then gets tracked. So it's basically something we've heard from customers for a very long time that they've been asking for, and I'm just going to do a little walkthrough demo today to show you how that functions. So hopefully you all can see my screen here. Another new thing that you'll notice, and you maybe already have noticed if you're playing around and digging around through the Wholesale settings page, is beta features. So we decided that sometimes we do this previously is we'd create a feature, we want to get feedback on it, and we'd release it as a beta feature and tell certain customers about it, and other customers might find it. But we've decided to make that process a lot more official. And so as we come out with features that we need to test with customers, you will see those features. So you should check every once in a while in this beta features. And we'll try to be good at about notifying you about new beta features as they come out. But the repair tracking is the top one on this list of beta features. And then for those who haven't seen it already, Swappa ESN export and Rebello ESN export are also beta features where we will send the IMEIs of committed inventory items to those two marketplaces when you commit items to their orders. And that can really save a tremendous amount of time. Obviously, you're not having to copy and paste from one tab to another. That's so much of what Wholesale does is prevent you from having to tab swap, and we're really committed to doing more of that. So anyways, I just want to share this. This is how you turn on repair tracking right now. And for everyone that is curious about these beta features, these features are living in a state where we really want concentrated feedback. So if they're not necessarily guaranteed to remain the same or remain how they are, that's why we have them in beta. We're trying to collect information about how people want to use them and how people run these workflows in their business. So if you see a beta feature, you turn it on, for one, expect that there could be bugs, there could be issues with it, and we really want to hear from you about those that you experience. But two, the feature is not in its final state necessarily. If you're using it and it doesn't perfectly match the way you're doing things, it would help us tremendously if you send us an email or live chat with us on support and tell us how the feature doesn't work for your use case, and tell us your use case. So this is one of the hardest things for us, is getting feedback about specific use cases. What are people doing in their business? How are they going through the workflow? We really have to get on calls with people to figure this out, because just asking a few questions doesn't give us enough information. So if you're using a beta feature and you want it to be different to support a workflow, if you put in the time to send us a message and tell us how you are doing something and show us why the feature that we built is not working, we may kind of follow that direction. So this is your opportunity to have some influence on the way that we build things in the app. So anyways, moving forward on that, if you want to try repair tracking, you have to enable it here as a beta feature. And once you do that, when you go to an inventory item, which I've got pulled up here, you will have a repair history panel here at the bottom of the individual items page. So hopefully you can all see that. That is what this enables. So I can even kind of show you how killing this will remove that panel. Or it should. Actually, you know what? Maybe not. Maybe Harry has launched repair tracking as a beta feature, as a beyond beta feature, and made it available to everyone. So this panel is now available regardless of whether you have it enabled or not. I'm going to go ahead and enable it just in case there's any component of the feature and functionality that we need to have enabled. But either way, you will now, so perhaps even if you don't have this enabled, you will see this in your account, that you have this repair history panel on an individual inventory items page. And this add a repair button does a couple of things. So I'm going to come back to this, and we're going to click that button. We're going to go through a repair, but I want to show you, people constantly ask us in chat and when we're onboarding new customers, they ask if they can track their repair parts in Wholesale. And for a long time, we've kind of said, you could do whatever you want. You can track the repair parts if you want to. But obviously, Wholesale was designed for tracking the mobile device inventory that you have. We say the same thing when people ask us if they can track accessories or laptops or graphics cards. We designed Wholesale around products with IMEIs, ESNs, which many of those products have, but you're kind of limited to the manufacturer, model, gigabyte capacity, variant, color, and network. And if you don't have one of those attributes for a product you're trying to track, you can just leave them blank. And so that's what I've done here. So I went in, and I'll go to the grouped view of this. I went and added some screens that I kind of looked at, a really popular screen supplier, Mobile Centrics, or part supplier, took some of the details from that part and added it into Wholesale. And of course, it is not perfect. Obviously, Wholesale, we didn't design Wholesale with this idea of tracking parts inventory, but it's an inventory system. It can absolutely store parts. And I added these. I did not upload IMEIs for them. So if we go to the individual view on this table and we look at those screen assemblies, these do not have IMEIs. Those are all NA. But of course, they do have their Wholesale hex ID. So what this means is, people ask us about unserialized inventory in Wholesale. Our solution to unserialization, at least up until this point and still moving forward, is you can add anything to Wholesale. You can punch in a quantity of 50, add 50 of a product variation, and it will technically serialize it. But when you're using that item, if you want, what you can do is just add it to an order by FIFO. You can add the oldest item. You don't have to go and pick by serial number, because we have the FIFO ability to commit to sales orders. So, this is the same with screens. Are they serialized? Technically, we don't have serial numbers for them, or if they were provided by the manufacturer or the distributor, like Mobile Centrics in this case, you certainly could, but you don't have to. You can. In fact, we could go to one of these, and we could click on the product. We could go to, the SKU. We click on the SKU, and one really fast way to add things in Wholesale is you can click on a SKU and then add inventory for that product variation. You got to pick which purchase order. You can say quantity 50 and these details and hit save, and it'll add 50 of that product variation. So that can be I just want to kind of introduce this concept of, no, we didn't build Wholesale for tracking parts, but it is certainly possible. And, that's how we've imagined it for the use of this repair tracking feature here. Anyways, so I've got, how many of these? I've got 10 of these sitting here, these OLED iPhone 13 screen assemblies. Those are in here in a PO from my parts vendor that I've put together. If you have any questions about how you would go about doing this, feel free to reach out to us. If you're a customer of ours, you already know Mike and I love having these conversations about workflow and coming up with different ways to figure out how to work around something that you're trying to do in a business with Wholesale. So we've got 10 of these. They're new in box. They're sitting available, ready to use. And we've got an inventory item here that I have. I have an iPhone 13 with a cracked screen. Cracked glass is one of the damage conditions. Aside from the cracked glass, it's got a B grade cosmetics. But and maybe here, let's throw in that we paid $150 for it. So now we've paid $150. We've got all of that in the product details, but we want to do a repair on this device so we can sell it on e-commerce. So now, get to the money shot. We click this repair button, and we have a couple things here. You can now you click this to see a help article about how the feature works, but we can put in the description of this repair, and let's just call it a screen replacement. Put in a screen replacement, and here's where things get exciting. You can identify parts or a part or whatever you want that it went towards this repair. And what happens here is we'll bring in the cost of the part. So remember, we were looking at this part, it was $116.50, excuse me. And so we will bring in that $116.50, add it to the financial line items. We can remove damage conditions, and we can change the status all in one operation, basically. So we've brought a few different things that people do when they typically repair a device, and we've brought them into one. Plus, we've added this ability to consume a part. So here's also where things get exciting. You can use the hex ID, the IMEI, the ESN in wholesale, or the SKU for something. So if your parts are unserialized and you never want to care about the hex ID for them, what you could do is you could go into this. Let's even do it right here. This is an exciting demo. Just walking you guys through it. So let's go back to that product variation page. We'll go to this specific item. We'll click on SKU and we'll set a SKU. We'll call it IP13 display. Let's do OLED display, and let's just do some X07 soft, just because that is a little bit of detail about the supplier. So okay, now we've got a SKU on that product variation. If we go back and refresh this this PO, we'll see now we've got that SKU in there. So when our technicians are applying, they're putting this in, that they've done a screen replacement, they can put that in, and you can put it in as many times as you want. You could put it in 3 times, it'll consume 3 of these parts. So, and it'll pick, wholesale will pick the kind of the same thing, FIFO, it'll pick the oldest part that we've got in that SKU that's sitting in, in a status that we can pull from. So we'll do that. We'll decide, yep, we're going to remove the cracked glass condition. And this item, I don't know what status it was in, but let's change it to available status because we've completed the repair. So let's save here. So now let's take a look at what's happened. The status of the item has been set to available. The cracked glass condition, the damage condition, has been removed from the item. And under financial and under repair, we now have some information. We've got this information that repair number 28 was a screen replacement. This number of repairs, that's if you start doing a bunch of repairs and tracking them, we're going to count them as they go along. So this is not repair 28 for this iPhone, but it's just repair 28 in your wholesale account altogether. And so in the future, if we add the ability to look at all the repairs you've done, look at repair analytics and stuff like that, that's where that will kind of come into play. But that has been added to our base cost of 150 to get to a current total cost. And we have this repair history. We can see the repair number is 28. The screen replacement was performed by me, Brennan. This is the part ID that was chosen of that SKU. So remember, we didn't give it a specific part ID. We just gave it a SKU, but the part was picked, and we've got the date that was applied. And so we have all of that information now. We can let's click on this part ID and see what happened to the part. So we get a little banner here that this inventory item was used as a repair part for this inventory hex ID, and it's been moved to a status now called used as repair part. This is a hard-coded status that we've put together that now, as inventory gets, as items are consumed as repair parts, they get moved into this status. And that allows you to ignore that status on anything that or any kind of analytics you're trying to pull. If you're going and looking at your inventory value in your analytics settings in wholesale, you can just ignore this status because we've let you filter that by status. And you can basically say, never sell out an inventory item that has been used as a repair part. So this is kind of a permanent status for these inventory items to go to once they've been consumed like that. And that should give you a clear perspective on how to use it. So does anybody have any questions? That's kind of the full demo of this repair feature. This is meant to be obviously right now it's a beta feature. It's an early introduction. So we just want to see how people use it, and then we'll add to it or improve on it from there. But we've just gotten this feedback for many years now that folks are doing repairs. They want to be able to track repair parts in wholesale and use those parts to fix other items in wholesale and have those financials tracked. And so this is our first pass at doing that. We've had a few people join the webinar too since I started. Sam, nice to see you. Evan, Tarek, nice to see you. Okay, Evan, you said, so I assume there is no way to get a report of repaired devices yet. That's correct, Evan. Let's think about that. I don't think we don't have anything there yet, but I think that's a great suggestion. I'll share that with Harry, and that's a perfect email, if you don't mind, Evan, is that, like I mentioned, we are tracking those repairs. The one way that you could do this is but I guess it would be manual, is you'd walk back and you'd look at all the items. So you could go to your inventory and you could filter by used as repair part. And so you could see all the parts that were consumed, basically. but you can't see the inventory items that were repaired by those parts in a simple view. But we absolutely should have that in a viewable report. So if you don't mind, if you could share an email with Harry and I about the way that you want to see that, what information you want to see. Maybe it's just, inventory that's been repaired. Maybe that's a filter for an inventory report. But, what we want to make sure is that we're not making assumptions about how you want to see something. That's the whole point of this feedback. Is you say that, and I'm like, okay, Evan wants to see have the ability to filter for repaired inventory items on an inventory report. But maybe I'm like totally wrong about that. Maybe you want some other way to get to this. That's what we want to know. So if you could think about that for just a moment and use the feature, try it out, and think about how you want to generate that report. You should have both Harry's and my emails. Send that to us. That's like the exact kind of feedback that we're looking for here. So thanks for bringing that up. Sergio said, in the situation where you don't have the parts in wholesale, is there a way to add the cost of the part for repair manually? Yeah, that's a great question, Sergio. So this repair tracking feature, you can't really create a repair without having a part. However, you can always create an inventory line item. So let's go back to the inventory that got repaired. So our old kind of way of describing this functionality to track repair costs was just to add a line item, which is in this financial table above the repair history. So this has been in wholesale for a while. You can add a line item, and we could do something like screen repair labor, right? If you really wanted to track the labor cost of your technician rather than just the part by itself, you could do that. You could put in, I don't know how much that, let's call it $20. And you could save that. So this is not associating an inventory item with this repair, but it's not associating a part item with this inventory item, but you have this screen repair labor here, $20, and that's increasing your total cost. So that's our solution for, if you're not tracking the parts in wholesale, but you want to bring over some costs. And to be clear, if you weren't tracking the parts, you could also call this screen repair parts plus labor and add that in without doing the repair. Sam says, hey, Brendan, sorry I was late to the webinar. Could you please show me how to enable the repair log? I didn't find it in the knowledge base article. Yeah, sure thing, Sam. So we have a new page within the settings in wholesale that's called beta features. So it's here under billing and account. It's the bottom one. And if you're late to the webinar, what I described at the beginning is Harry and I are trying to get more structured about how we release these features that we are thinking about. So everybody knows, of course, and I think many folks that are using wholesale have met us and know us, but we love thinking about different ways to do things. And sometimes we just get caught up in getting excited about building these features, and we get them to a place where we're not totally sure if they fit for how our customers use them. And we don't want to release them as like, giving the impression that we believe these are fully baked features, because they're not. We need to get feedback on them. Just like I was just talking to Evan, reporting is a great component of this. And this is why people think it's so easy to add any feature, but there are very, very many component parts of each feature that you'd add. The ability to see reporting is one of them, and you want to see reporting of everything that we add the core feature for. So the short answer, Sam, is this beta features page. You can click on repair, hit save. That should show the feature in your account. It might just be hard coded that it's in my account because we use this account for testing, and that's why it was showing up even when I had this turned off. So click repair, click save, and then go over to any specific inventory page, and you should see this repair history panel. And feel free, everyone, that as you see things come out in beta features here, I will be trying to do my best to be, notifying customers, notifying you all about what new features that we have in beta testing. But there's so much to talk about that sometimes we just put things here, and as people see them, start testing them, send us your feedback. This is the most concrete area where if you want to have some influence on how a feature gets developed, if a feature is really important to you, to your business, it's something that you felt like you wanted wholesale to be able to do and it couldn't do. If there's a feature for it in this beta section, you have the opportunity to send us a message, describe the way that you want that feature to exist and why. It's really critical. The why is really, really important here, because Harry and I want to know, what are you doing? What is the process in your business today, and why do you want to track it the way that you're describing? It's very, very important to us. And so if you send us a great why you want something some way, how you're doing it, there's a good chance that you'll get to have some influence on how we build a feature, or at the very least, it starts a conversation with us on, how are we thinking about it? Are there different ways you could do it, or are there different ways that we could do it? So we're trying to open this up for that there. And then Sam, I guess you weren't here for me to mention, we've also turned on, I don't know if you're selling on Swappa or Rebello, but we've enabled ESN exports for orders from those marketplaces. So when you receive an order from one of those marketplaces, when you commit an inventory item to that order, Wholesale will now send that IMEI of that item over to those channels, because both Swappa is now, they have a place for you to put the IMEI of what you shipped. If this only applies if you're an enterprise seller on Swappa, so a more narrow group, but still important. But Rebello, if you're selling on Rebello at all, they are starting to require IMEIs for the fulfilled items. So this is one less thing that you have to do manually. So you enable for these. If anybody's interested in these, you would enable them and then go to your settings page for that channel. So let's go to the Rebello page, and now if you have this enabled as a beta feature, you will see this option to do ESN export. So don't just enable the beta feature and think it's going to happen. Usually, enabling the beta feature kind of sets up your Wholesale account as if that feature existed in it. So you still have to go and turn on the thing. And this is obviously where we're not doing probably enough documentation about some of these things. There's just on the beta features page, there's not a whole lot of description about what these things do and how they work. So if you are wondering about that, just hit us up on live chat. We will help you and describe what the feature is that you're setting up to test out. So, and thanks everybody for all of your help. We're fortunate to have an incredible group of customers that really contribute a lot here. So we're very thankful for it. Sam says, great, like this feature. Thanks for the explanation. Yeah, my pleasure, Sam. Happy to do it. Anybody else have anything? I haven't done one of these in a while, so don't worry if it's even if it's not focused on repair tracking. Happy to do a live Q&A while I'm here. Nada. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for the time. I really appreciate it. I think next week I'll probably do another one of these. So if if you're watching the webinar and you want to do a live one, or if you're on it and not watching a recording, you want to see it next week, I'll do one of these again. We'll try and do a couple of these because we know some people can't make it. But you'll be seeing more of these webinars. I'll be doing them more consistently moving forward, especially through the winter. And I'm excited to show you a lot of the things that we have that we've been thinking about for a long time, but now are releasing as either beta features or fully baked features. So thanks for your time, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you in the next one of these. Cheers.